Alrighty, y'all. Hello. Brace yourself, buckle up, and strap in because we're going through some more ignorance, idiots, and WTF moments from around the internet and social media. This should be good. And first up, I'm sorry, this one I should wait later for because it's so good. But I can't resist. I just got to show you right off the bat. If the USA isn't in the tour, then it's not a world tour. Bad Bunny announces a new world tour, which entirely skips the US. And, what's the big deal? He's going on a world tour. It looks like he's going literally everywhere, right? Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, Brazil, Italy, France, España. The list goes on. He's covering a big area that, if you use your cranium, covers a little bit of everything in the world. And there's a lot of countries out there. The USA is just a country. And for this tour, he's not going to the US. Big deal. I'm sure he's played in the US before, right? Again, what are we getting in knots about here? I'm sorry, but if the USA isn't in a tour, it's not a world tour. Imagine being so center of the universe, so center of the world, that you are not allowed to call this a world tour if the USA is not on there. Man, I can't even believe we still find stuff like this. Now you know how the rest of the world feels, like when an American band who you love so much, all you want them to do is visit your country, and they announce a world tour only for it to be 90% American and 10% rest of the world, completely overlooking your country. Ran over. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure that happens quite often. And, of course, Americans like this guy wouldn't know it because they're so used to being America first and America center of the world. Also, someone highlights typical world tour, what it usually is. That seems more accurate. Of course, let's not forget our classic Americans. Not sure if this is a troll at this point, or someone truly, trapped here in the U.S. But this is one of the all-time great classics. Still happening. My little sister went on a date with a young farmer tonight. He decided to gift her a 12-kilogram wheel of cheese. Now, of course, this is very foreign to me, although I've heard that this can be a thing in many other places. And that's pretty interesting to me just by itself. Nonetheless, you have clearly what's assumed to be an American, could only be an American, say, the fuck is a kilogram? 1,000 grams. How do I even touch this? Whoa. Also, whoa. I think, as an American, I think that we should definitely involve Europe in our celebrations of the ending of the war. I mean, they deserve some kudos for the small part they played in helping the U.S. save them from Germany. And yes, they were heavily downvoted, although perhaps not downvoted enough. It's bad enough that Trump brags about their role in World War II, but to brag about World War I, where they barely caught the closing credits, is beyond belief. People really live in an alternate reality. Legit, we need to deprogram these malbreathers. Hopefully talking is enough, but I doubt it. Yeah, it's pretty wild when you do your own research from my perspective about especially the big dogs, right? World War I, World War II, and so forth. How it's taught and presented here is, let's just say to probably most of you watching, it would be mind-blowing how different it is. This one's titled, "You Can't Make This Shit Up." Check this out. A woman in England. First of all, it's BBC News. First clue. But they report on everything, so okay. That's fair. Second clue. A woman in England has been told she might have to wait 16 to 18 years for an autism diagnosis. That's weird. But they say, read why, okay? So that's not really what we're worried about. What we're worried about is this. Regular comment, okay. The diagnosis, this right here. The diagnosis will come much sooner than that once RFK Jr. has completed his investigation into the link between the many childhood medical interventions and a massive increase in the number of those with autism over the last 50 years. Now, here's the problem with that. That might be all well and good. But that's not what we're talking about because that is, well, RFK Jr. is in the U.S., right? We're talking about a woman in England. So I don't know, whatever he uncovers and finds out, how's that going to be relatable to this woman in England that's on, has to wait a while. Again, it's just pretty funny. Some people just, they don't make the connection, right? They don't make the connection at all. They see BBC News, they see woman in England, and they think, hey, our politicians are going to sort it out, so stay tuned. England, Arkansas. Yes, that must have been it. According to this genius right here, 98% of YouTube users are American. In other countries, most people don't even know what YouTube is. But if you're a foreigner and watch YouTube, you might be one of the exceptions. Everyone here has a YouTube profile in your country. How many people do you know watch YouTube? Well, I will say I must be very lucky, or there must be something fishy going on. I'm not really sure which, because a lot, and I mean a lot, of people that watch me are not American. And that means that y'all are not even real. Maybe y'all are just bots or a figment of my imagination. I'm going to ponder my whole channel's existence and my life right now. But hold up, we have a non-American exercising the same problems, defaultism. Shut up, it's a joke. Can something be repeated billions of times really be a joke anymore? Yes, knock-knock jokes are still jokes. Maybe they're not funny, but it's still a joke. Here we go. Maybe they should have stand-up comedy lessons in America instead of live, fire, dodge, and run. I'm Belgian. So they're trying to diss this guy, but he's Belgian. And this guy is clearly not American. And he thinks that talking about bad humor must be American. Well, he failed. That's right. It happens a lot here. It is hilarious and annoying. But it can happen anywhere. Nobody's safe. This guy assumed, and he assumed wrong. To be fair, here in Scotland, a joke about Belgians is that they shouldn't exist since they're French and Dutch wombo combo. This one's just titled A Lot to Unpack Here. And you're going to want to, just take a look at this. USA, 249 years, a young, dynamic, and experimental country. Ain't that the truth? EU, old as hills. Germany, 35 years. Finland, 108 years. Austria, 107. Ireland, 103. Italy, 164. Croatia, Slovenia, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Czech Republic, and Slovakia, around 35 years each. Youngins, so much to learn for y'all. Be kind to your elders. Over here in the U.S., we have the history and the experience. So Germany is only barely 35 years old, which doesn't even make sense. The current state federal republic existed before the unification, and Austria 107 old by their logic, despite being annexed for a few years by the Germany and thus ceasing to exist as a sovereign country. How that even works? So that's the funny thing. It doesn't work. I don't think anyone should even waste time trying to figure out how this works. Some people just live in their own bubble. Hell, they just live in their own universe. Everyone in those countries wants to move to America. That says it all right there. I'm going to let you read through this. Yeah, so another learning experience. I guess everyone else is just communists. America's the last line of defense. That's why everyone on Earth wants to move here. Man, we're really getting an education today. So apparently the profile picture of a bear eating grass or something thinks hilariously U.S. English is closer to the traditional English language spoken 400 years ago than UK English. It is kind of mind-blowing that something so simple has been brought up seems like a million times. I still highlight them because they're all slightly different, but around the same sort of thing. The whole US versus UK English is hilarious. English is English. It's spoken by a lot of people around the world. One of the most spoken languages. It's just called English. That's it. Yes, there's differences like between slang and trends and stuff. Okay, I get that. That's fair to say. But like, oh my goodness. And also to say that, English that you would find typical American speaking would be traditional English, and it's more traditional than English that they speak in the UK is just hilarious. Like, you just can't do anything but laugh. This is a myth I've heard first some 25 years ago, and it wasn't something new they were claiming. Every language study proves it wrong, but so many Americans aren't going to let facts stand in their way of American superiority complex. All right, back to taking some heat off the U.S. We have a meme about France. Just got robbed $1,550 within 10 minutes of landing in Nice, France. I'm sure no matter how I'll say it, it's wrong, but luckily that was not nice. Nice. Is it pronounced Nice or nice? My wife insists it's nice, but I think it's Nice. French is also confusing. I'm French, and it's... Hope this helps. This was awesome. The disaster I caused by saying the truth. Me. This is truth. When you watch a vid of yourself and then hear your voice. Finally, one I can't relate to because I have no choice. There's more than a few videos of me and my voice. The European mind can't comprehend this. Me taking my buddy to the hospital after he broke his leg. I can't afford a car, and his insurance won't cover ambulance rides. Welcome to the dream world that everyone wants to move to, remember? Welcome to the USA. Coming soon, Uber ambulance. Why do I feel like that could literally be possible? I mean, it literally is in the US, like calling an Uber to go to the doctor emergency. It is, because it's much cheaper than an ambulance. But, I mean, why do I feel like Uber would find a way to actually capitalize on that? And finally, ending with just an interesting post, as I usually like to throw in here. Entire 727 Boeing was stolen from an airport in 2003 and never been seen since. I will have to look into this. It says on May 25th, 2003, a Boeing 727 tail number N844AA was stolen from Luanda International Airport in Angola. It was an ex-American Airlines jet that had been grounded for over a year. Two men, Ben Charles Padilla, an American pilot and mechanic, and John Mutantu, a Congolese assistant, climbed aboard, fired up the engines, and took off without clearance. Lights off, transponder off, and zero communication. What followed was an international wild goose chase involving the FBI, CIA, and global aviation authorities. A possible sighting was reported months later in Guinea, but nothing came of it. No wreckage, no radar, no ransom, no confirmed sightings. To this day, both the men and the plane remain missing. It's like the Bermuda Triangle got bored and decided to go on tour. That is pretty mind-blowing to hear all of that. All the details. How did two men completely disappear and never be, found, tracked, pop up again? And then, of course, how does something as big as a freaking airplane, like a 727, just go missing? If it crashed anywhere, in like the most, weird remote forest or jungle or mountains, you'd think eventually it would be found. So this is pretty hard to believe. I think it's pretty odd. I think I would love to hear your theories. I think it really comes down to the only plausible one is sadly maybe it flew into the ocean, and that that might be one of the only ways you could truly hide it. Otherwise, I don't see how it would never pop up again. But that was an interesting episode. As always, I could go on and on, but I'm going to cut it there. I appreciate you guys watching. I cannot wait to see your comments. And, with that being said, my name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.